Discuss what this means for the U.S.'s Democratic Congressman Krishnamoorthi of Illinois, a member of the Intelligence Committee. Congressman, it's great to see you again. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, let me get your broad analysis of what has happened, transpired over the last 24 to 36 hours. You sit on the Intelligence Committee. Lots of questions about what the U.S. intelligence community did not know. So any thoughts on, broadly speaking, of what you have learned?
I guess a few observations. One, I think that the intelligence community broadly knew that Mr. Prigozhin was deeply, deeply unhappy with the Russian Defense Ministry, specifically Mr. Shoigu and Gerasimov, the chief of staff. And he questioned all of their moves. And, yet Putin continued to allow him to do so because he was effective on the battlefield, Amen. And in fact, the Wagner Group was the most effective component of Russian forces in Ukraine. And so, for Mr. Prigozhin now to take the step of actually moving on Moscow obviously crossed a massive red line. But I believe that whatever they worked out seems to be a pause in their feud as opposed to a resolution. And we'll see in the days and weeks to come how this plays out. I think the second big observation that I have personally is I'm very interested in how the Chinese Communist Party is viewing what's happening here and the events unfolding. As you know, Chairman Xi Jinping in some ways went all in on his relationship with Vladimir Putin. But what's happened in the last 24 hours, I believe, has probably shaken their assumptions about Vladimir Putin's hold on power. And I think that they are carefully reevaluating whether they are going to and how they are going to continue to invest in that relationship with him.
Let me pick up on the first point, which is why do you believe it is a pause, not a resolution between Yevgeny Prigozhin and Vladimir Putin?
I think that Mr. Prigozhin, I respectfully submit, I think he thinks that Vladimir Putin has blood on his hands, as well as the Russian Defense Ministry, because they killed so many of his Wagner Group soldiers in Ukraine in this action in the last 72 hours, I believe, before they started their move on Rostov-on-Don and then on to Moscow. I think the second thing is that unlike any other person exiled by Vladimir Putin, in this case, Prigozhin has thousands of soldiers, mercenaries, armed mercenaries, who at the end of the day are still probably loyal to Mr. Prigozhin. And I think that that is in some ways almost his security against possible reprisals by Putin on Prigozhin in Belarus. But I still think that that is this mafia movie is going to have more chapters in the weeks to come.
How stable do you assess Russia to be right now, or how concerned are you if it is not stable?
I haven't seen any evidence that, for instance, the nuclear forces or the nuclear arsenal posture has changed in any way. But you always have to be a little concerned when, Vladimir Putin or the top of the power regime there has a shaky grip on power. That being said, I mean, literally, as we're speaking now, Vladimir Putin is probably consolidating his power aggressively within Russia. And I think at this point, he's probably more internally focused this moment than externally focused, which is probably an opening for the Ukrainians, which some of your prior guests mentioned already.
All right, Illinois Congressman Krishnamurthy. Congressman, it's always a pleasure, sir. Thank you so much for your time.